Ruby, hello.
Hi.
Nice to meet you
Nice
virtually.
to meet you too. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. We're here to talk about new music, which I am very happy to say I've heard the album. It's a beautiful thing. So
Thank you.
congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to have it out finally. It's actually coming out on like exactly a year after I finished recording it, which is really cool. It's a very full circle year. So I can't wait. I'm thrilled.
Like, how's that period in between? Like when it's done and dusted and you've signed off on it, and now you just have to kind of sit around waiting.
It's been still really busy because I mean there's like the mixing mastering period, but also we shot so many music videos. There's like 7 music videos for this record. So I was never bored. I was never sitting around just waiting for the album to come out because we shot the music videos. I was co-directing storyboarding for those and then editing all of them. So it's felt like it's just been the continual process of working and also at the same time writing for the next album. So
Wow, you
I
really
keep
haven't
myself
been
busy.
taking it easy, have you?
No, I need a bit of a break. I think that after it comes out, November 1st, I'm gonna sleep for a week and then get started on whatever is next.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're already thinking about the future. But so you mentioned the videos, and most artists don't release that many videos during the whole album cycle. And you've already been working on all these things, and then you mentioned that you edit them, you storyboard them, and direct, direct or co-direct the videos. Why is this so important for you to be so hands-on with everything? Is it because you don't trust anybody else to do it, or
No, no.
how do you feel?
I've been lucky enough to work with some great collaborators. So Boy Wonder, Ryan, who I worked with on all the videos, he's incredible. So we did a lot of that work together. And he was the right person for me to trust with my vision. I think I've always, since I started doing this so long ago, like I started releasing music when I was 14. So it's been 12, almost 13 years. And I was just so used to doing everything myself because I was recording, producing, writing everything by myself on my laptop in my bedroom when I was a teen. And I would make little music videos, just filming them on my camera. And so I just have kind of maintained that idea that, I have a vision that I'm working towards, and I'm the best person to sort of push that in the right direction. So as my career has progressed, like I've worked with more collaborators, but I'm always kind of like the central driving force because I have a hard time letting go of that. Um, and I'm a visual artist as well. Like I went to school for visual art. I have a degree in fine arts. And so I like to sort of keep that part of myself alive, and making music videos and album art and stuff like that is how I stay well-rounded creatively and don't lose my mind doing only music all the time.
So where did all this start for you? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Windsor, Ontario, um, which is like a 10-hour drive from Montreal.
Yeah.
Um, and so I started there, yeah, when I was like 14, but I was always doing music. Like I grew up playing classical piano, and my dad was a musician when he was younger, and he worked in radio, so he set me up with my first little interface. And so I was like writing and recording songs when I was, a little kid. Um, Nothing that anyone will ever hear now, obviously, but it's always been a part of my life.
Do you remember anything about those first songs that you wrote when you were like super young?
I remember, I think the first thing I ever recorded, because my dad taught me how to use GarageBand, and I was really into all the vocal effects that you could do. And
Right.
there was one that was like the helium voice. And so I think the first few songs I recorded were this character called Bunny, and I would just make I would use a bunch of loops and make a weird backing track, and then I would be in the helium voice saying, "Here's Bunny," and just I don't even know what I was saying. I wish that I had them still. I think it would be really funny to hear them, but I
Yeah.
think I think they're lost to the world at this point.
Yeah. Maybe that's for the best, just in case.
Yeah, definitely. I would not
Otherwise,
want
you'd be
those on
releasing
me.
like an album and Alvin and the Chipmunks album.
Yeah. I mean, the sped up versions of songs, the chipmunk versions of songs are kind of popular now. So honestly, maybe it would do well.
Yeah, see, you were ahead of your time, maybe. So, what was the first song that you felt really proud of and you wanted to play for like other people beyond your household?
There's a song called South City Girl when I was, I I think at 14 when I wrote that. I think it was the first song that I posted on Bandcamp. Um, because I was always really into music. And when I was probably 12, I found Tumblr and ended up on Tumblr. And through that, ended up on Bandcamp and hearing all these people who were just doing home recordings and releasing them. And that was the first time I was like, I could do that. I could record something and actually release it. I could write songs the way, all my heroes write songs. And so that was the first one, I believe. And all of that music, my first few albums, are on Bandcamp, not on Spotify. And it's every day I struggle with the desire, the urge to delete them, but I think people would be mad at me. But they're so embarrassing, right? Because I was a kid, but I mean, they all led me here.
Yeah, that's it. It's part of the journey, and people will see that they're, so many years old, and you were 14 at the time. Like it's nearly half your life ago.
Hmm.
So you've been doing this for, nearly half your life. That's a pretty big deal. Things are going to change.
Yeah,
Like everybody changes a massive amount between the ages of, 14 and the mid 20s anyway. But you especially, I would imagine, because you've been creative and an expression yourself.
for sure.
Where do you think? Because obviously now there's a lot of people listening to your music. What was the song or the moment where you felt things really start to kind of take hold?
It was my song Angela, which was on 2 albums ago, my album Baby Teeth. Um, so that song, somebody uploaded it to YouTube on one of those, playlist channels or channels that have like, that share songs. Um, I sound so old right now, like not knowing how YouTube works. But someone uploaded Angela, and I think it was actually my mom, because my mom looks me up. Like my mom searches Flower Face and reads the comments. I don't really do that, but so she'll always send me, oh, this person posted this cover, and she sent me. Now someone posted Angela, and it has like 2 million views, and I was shocked because at that point, I had a bit of a following and some listeners, but not to that extent. And it just sort of went from there. Snowballed after that. And it's funny because Angela is a song that I wrote about the first time that I ever came to Montreal to visit when I was 18. And that's the song that took off. And I feel like it kind of led me here. Like it was kind of meant to be for me to eventually move here.
So why did you move here?
I just felt drawn to the city. I didn't move here for like work or school or anything. I didn't know anyone. It was a very last minute decision. I mean, I was living with my family during COVID, um, and that was difficult. And I love my family, but 5 people and a dog and a small house.
Yeah.
And so I knew I needed to leave. I knew I needed to leave Windsor. I didn't want to stay there. Um, and for a long time, I feel like I was kind of waiting for, it's like, it'll just happen. There'll be a sign, like there will be the right time and it'll just make sense. And I, signed my record deal and wasn't sure what I was doing. I was like, you know what, like the signs have already happened. I need to actually take the step. And so I came here to see an apartment that I found online, just, one single apartment viewing. I was like, I'll go to this apartment. If I love it, I'll just move here. If I don't love it, it's not meant to be. And I came and I loved the apartment. And then I just decided to move here. So it was a kind of last minute decision, but it worked out.
I was so quickly wanted to go back to you were talking about how many listens that song had had. I checked out this morning your song Back to You on YouTube, 3.8 million views now.
Hmm.
And it's just a lyric video. It's not
Yeah.
even like a fully fledged video.
Yeah, YouTube is interesting. That has happened a few times and you can't predict it. Like you never know when it's going to be a kind of viral moment. And the songs that, like Back to You, I don't think it's even one of my top songs on Spotify or other ones, but yeah, it just happens. It's cool. You can't plan for it.
Yeah, it's strange. So when a song like that gets so popular and so shared, do you ever feel like you need to take something from that and in your songwriting moving forward, or do you just kind of ignore it and move on?
I just try to ignore it and move on. I can never force myself to write in a certain direction or to say, oh, this song did well, so I'm going to write more like that. Um, like I was saying, you can't plan for it. You can't predict what's going to be popular or what's going to be successful. And I think it's kind of futile to try to do that. And I think it also impedes on creativity.
Mm.
If I have in the back of my mind, oh, I need this song to sound like Angela or sound like Back to You, then it's just going to stop me from writing what I'm meant to write. So I try not to think about that stuff too much. It's cool when it happens, but I definitely don't write with the intention of having a viral moment or anything.
Yeah, no, good for you. I'm glad you don't. That's the right answer.
I'm
What
glad
was
I
the
passed the
first
test.
song? What was the first song that you wrote from this record?
It was, oh God, I think Biblical Love, which is the title track, or not title track, it's the first track.
Yeah.
Um, with this record, like I wrote all of it in a short period of time, but there were a few songs like Biblical Love and like Pushing Daisies, which I had pieces of from like a few years ago that I had just never gone back to, that I sort of went to. I had a couple verses and I turned it into something more. But I think the most fully formed song is Biblical Love, which I had written a couple years ago. But in terms of like sat down and wrote with the intention of this is going to be the album, um, was actually the sort of interlude track, The Ides of March.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, because I wrote this album like in the direct sort of instant aftermath of a breakup. And that was, I like flew home to my family. And like the second day that I got there, I sat down at the piano and wrote that one. So that was sort of my immediate reaction. And it kind of, the album formed itself around that, if that makes sense.
The album kind of has a theme around that.
Hmm.
Like, was that the out? Is that how it just kind of evolved naturally, or did you kind of sit down and go, "This is where I'm going to go, and I'm going to write songs around about this subject"?
Um, it honestly, to me at the time, I was just surviving. Like I was just getting through it. I just needed to write. It was the only thing I could do, and it was the only thing that made me feel better. And it sort of found its shape as an album, but I wasn't setting out like, I'm going to write a breakup album and that's what's going to happen. And I don't know, I hesitate to even use the term breakup album because it feels kind of embarrassing. It feels like, oh, I should be writing about something more important or here's me whining. But in reality, like, it's not even about the breakup. It's not even about one person, right? It's about me processing the feelings and my friends and my family and the people around me and everything that happened afterwards. So it's more of like a snapshot of my past year. Like it's a thread that follows me through the last year of my life. So it feels
Yeah,
very immediate.
I know what you mean. I think when you hear the term breakup album, it sounds like it's almost like a mean thing to one person, whereas in reality, these songs are about life. They're about people and life, and
Yeah,
moving forward as much as looking back. So,
exactly. And it's like I can't tell anyone else's story, right? I can only tell my story. It's not about any other person. It's about me and my reactions and my feelings about that. So,
but now when you play live, you have to sing these songs like every night. Like I know you've mentioned that it was cathartic, right, in this record. Is
mhm.
that how you feel when you going to perform them live? Do you think it's like looking back and you got through it and you're moving forward? It feels like a positive thing rather than dwelling in the past?
Yeah, I think that, this album doesn't even really feel sad to me. Maybe some people will see it as sad, and that's fine, and that's their reaction to it and interpretation. But to me, it feels very cathartic. It feels very powerful. I haven't played live yet. I don't play live that often, but the album release show, which is on October 30th, will be the first time we're playing the entire album. So I guess we'll see. We'll see if I break down crying on stage. But I think it's just going to be fun, and I think it's going to be a major moment of catharsis.
How do the songs change, if at all, when you play them live?
We're going to be pretty true to the record, I think. But I tend to do shows. I do a lot of solo shows. I do duo shows. It changes depending on the context. So there's always acoustic versions and things like that. So we'll see how it transforms in the future.
And you've got quite a big back catalog to choose from now,
Hmm.
as well as playing the songs from the album. Do you do covers?
I do occasionally. I especially if I'm doing like a solo acoustic show, a lot of times I'll do some covers. Not at this upcoming show, but I there's like a specific cover I want to do for the next record as well, like actually record it. So I do enjoy doing that. But it is always a little scary, right? You're taking someone else's work into your hands. You have to do it justice.
Yeah. Do you like to do it like true to the original, or you like to put your own spin on it?
I always change it up. Like I did a cover for a benefit compilation record that my label did, and I think it was all female artists from the 90s or like female hit artists from the 90s. And so I got to do You Oughta Know by Alanis Morissette, which
Nice.
is one of my favorite karaoke songs. But I did it totally kind of like slow, electronic, sort of creepy, rather than, you know, yelling and really getting emotional about it. I did a kind of more held back version, which made it a little scary. It's a little spooky, but
Yeah. Can we hear that? Is that online?
it is. Yeah. If you search
Oh,
You Oughta Know Flower Face, it should come up.
yeah. I'll go and find that because that's one that I haven't heard yet. Yeah. You making it a little bit creepy, that's a surprise.
I know everything I do sounds a little bit creepy, I
Yeah.
guess.
So what happens after the album comes out? You've had your week of sleep.
hmm
Then what's your plans for moving forward after that?
It's hard to say. It's a strange job to have because I never really know what my next year is going to look like. I have most of the next record written already. Because I
Wow.
went through such an intense period of writing. I wrote this record, but then there was still a lot in there, so I kept writing. And so I want to finish writing that. I want to get back into the studio. Uh, I like playing live, but my true I'm more of a writer than a performer, and my true passion is writing and recording music. So I want to get back into that as soon as possible.
Do you feel part of the Montreal scene?
Not yeah, I feel like I don't know. I mean, I have some really good friends who are amazing musicians here. And, through meeting my band for this show and people that we're going to be working with and my producer, I'm slowly kind of integrating, but I still feel like a bit of an outsider. Um, because, when I moved here, it was still COVID. We were still it was like curfew when I moved
Right.
here. So there was still a period of time where people weren't going out, and then things have started to happen again. And so hoping to kind of integrate more, but I'm still a little bit like on the outside looking in, I think.
Do you have any favorite Montreal artists or bands?
Yeah, so Loren,
Yeah.
she I've loved her music forever, and I actually reached out to her, and so we're friends now, and I'm hoping that we'll record some music together at some point. I absolutely adore her. Her voice is, magical.
Yeah. I saw her
Um,
live and I met her after the show. She's very tall.
Yeah, yeah, she's very tall. She's been right here in this living room. The first time we ever got together, she brought over a bottle of wine and we just sat on my living room floor and played music together, and it was
Nice.
lovely. And then my good friend Mateo, who plays under the name Alan Hill, he's actually opening at my show.
Okay.
He's incredible. I'm so thrilled to have him there. I mean, like Leonard Cohen, classic, of course, big
Of course.
influence. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, congratulations again on the album. I really do love it.
Thank
I'm not
you.
just saying that because I'm talking to you.
Thank you so much.
But in the meantime, thank you very much for your time. It's been really nice chatting with you.
Thank you so much for having me.